Judge mocks black teenager in court, shocked to learn he's a genius attorney in disguise. It was supposed to be a routine school day. Sunlight streamed through the high windows of the Jefferson County Courthouse. Inside, tension brewed. Students, teachers, and media were packed into the pews like an audience before a spectacle. But no one came for justice. They came to watch Malik Thompson fall. 17 years old. Straight-A student. Tech club president. And now, the prime suspect in a school-wide hacking scandal that had the whole district buzzing. The charge? Tampering with school records. Specifically, raising his GPA and that of his friends. Malik stood at the defendant's table, not flanked by lawyers but alone, by choice. He wore a simple navy suit. Not expensive, but clean, pressed, and confident. Judge Lenora Harris, sharp as her gavel and twice as cold, scanned him over her glasses. "Mr. Thompson, I see you've waived your right to an attorney?" "Yes, Your Honor." Malik's voice didn't waver. "Do you understand the seriousness of this charge?" "Yes. I understand this is a felony. I also understand the Constitution gives me the right to defend myself. I intend to use that right." Snickers came from the gallery. A few teachers from his school exchanged glances. Prosecutor Banks, seasoned and smug, leaned back in his chair with a smirk. "This should be entertaining." Malik opened his binder. "May I begin with an opening statement?" The judge waved her hand. "Proceed." Malik stepped forward. "I stand accused of a crime I did not commit. The prosecution will try to prove I hacked into Jefferson High's database. They will offer circumstantial evidence, technical logs they barely understand, and assumptions rooted in stereotype, not fact." "Objection," Banks interrupted. "Sustained." "Stick to facts, Mr. Thompson," Judge Harris warned. "Of course," Malik replied calmly. "The fact is I didn't change grades. But I know who did." A collective murmur rippled through the courtroom. Prosecutor Banks stood. "The state is ready to present its case." Their first witness, the school's IT director, Mr. Camden. Nervous, middle-aged, with coffee stains on his tie. He claimed that Malik's student login credentials had been used to access the gradebook server. "Is it possible someone else could have used those credentials?" Malik asked during cross. Camden shrugged. "Sure, but why would they?" "Because I use a shared computer lab," Malik said. "And I leave my materials unattended during tutoring sessions." Banks objected again, but Malik had already struck a chord. Their next witness, Principal Reed, painted Malik as too smart for his own good. He often challenged teachers, even corrected them in class. He had a superiority complex. Malik blinked. "So you're saying intelligence makes me a threat?" "No, I'm saying you were disruptive." "But never disciplined?" Reed hesitated. "No." Malik nodded. "Thank you. No further questions." As the day progressed, Malik calmly dismantled weak testimony with logic, poise, and questions that echoed like truth in a silent room. By noon, the courtroom had shifted. People were no longer laughing. They were leaning in. Then came the prosecution's ace. Digital logs showing Malik's login accessing the system at 2:17 a.m. Malik stood. "May I admit Exhibit C into evidence?" He handed the clerk a printed page. "This is a screenshot of my home router logs. It shows that at 2:17 a.m. on the night in question, my device was disconnected from the network." Judge Harris squinted. "You expect us to believe this over official server records?" "No, Your Honor. I expect you to look at both. The timestamps on the school server are inconsistent with their internal clock settings. I compared it with my router, my device's metadata, and even public time servers. They're off by 3 hours." The courtroom was dead quiet. "Furthermore," Malik continued, "these logs don't prove who used the credentials. Just that they were used. I intend to show tomorrow who actually did." Banks was visibly shaken. "This is a distraction." "No," Malik countered. "This is a defense." Judge Harris banged her gavel. "Court is adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow." Outside, the sun was still high, bathing the steps in gold as Malik descended. Reporters shouted his name. His mother met him at the bottom, arms open, tears in her eyes. "You were brilliant, baby." He hugged her tight. But inside, Malik knew the real test was tomorrow. He had one shot left to prove who framed him, and to flip the courtroom upside down. But while the world watched the trial unfold, someone else was watching Malik. That night, as he reviewed notes at the kitchen table, his laptop's screen flickered. A message popped up. "Stop digging." Disappeared just as fast. His mother entered the room, noticing the tension on his face. "You all right, baby?" "Yeah. Just nerves." He lied. The next morning, a package sat on the porch. No return address. Inside, a USB stick and a note, typed and signed, "Proof." He plugged it into a borrowed Chromebook at the library. The contents? Encrypted server logs. And one shocking video clip. A screen recording of someone else, wearing a hoodie, sitting in the school lab, logging into the gradebook system at 2:17 a.m. The camera caught a reflection in the monitor. Malik froze. He knew that face. The sun had barely risen when Malik stepped back into the Jefferson County courthouse. His shoulders were squared, the USB drive tucked into a side pocket of his suit jacket, the note still folded and hidden in his wallet. He hadn't slept. Not after what he saw. The face on the screen. Jamal Preston. His former best friend. Jamal had access to the school computer lab after hours. He also had motive. The two had fallen out after Malik declined to help him cheat on a calculus exam. It wasn't just bitterness. Jamal had made veiled threats. "If you won't help me, maybe someone else will," he'd said. Now those words echoed like a curse. At exactly 9 a.m., Judge Harris entered the courtroom. "Mr. Thompson," she said with her usual clipped tone, "you may continue your defense." Malik stood slowly, the USB drive in his palm. "Your Honor, I'd like to submit new evidence into the record." Banks was already out of his chair. "Objection. We have not had time to review this material." Malik raised his hand. "The defense received this evidence anonymously last night. It contains video surveillance and internal logs. I believe it's directly relevant." Judge Harris peered down at him. "This better be good, Mr. Thompson." Malik nodded and handed the drive to the bailiff. Minutes later, the courtroom darkened as the overhead screen lit up. A grainy but clear screen recording began to play. A figure in a hoodie moved through the computer lab, sat at a workstation and typed rapidly. On the monitor, the Jefferson High grade book. Then came the key moment. The hacker's reflection appeared in the screen. A sharp intake of breath swept through the room. It was unmistakably Jamal Preston. Gasps echoed. Some of the teachers looked shocked. Principal Reed sat frozen. Banks stammered. "That could be anyone." Malik stepped forward. "If it pleases the court, I'd like to call Jamal Preston to the stand." Jamal had been in the audience all along, sitting beside a friend from the football team. He looked stunned. Judge Harris narrowed her eyes. "Mr. Preston, please come forward." As Jamal took the stand, Malik's hands were steady, but his heart pounded. "State your name for the record." "Jamal Preston." "Do you recognize the individual in the video we just saw?" Jamal hesitated. "It's hard to tell." Malik pulled out a printed frame of the video showing the monitor reflection. "What about this image?" Jamal's lips parted, then closed. "I'll remind you, Mr. Preston," Judge Harris interjected. "You are under oath." Jamal's face dropped. "Yeah, that's me." A thunderclap couldn't have made more noise. Banks stood abruptly. "We need to." Judge Harris raised her hand. "Sit down, counselor." Malik's voice didn't rise. He stayed composed. "Why did you do it, Jamal?" Jamal shrugged, defeated. "I was mad. You made everything look so easy, school clubs, teachers liking you. I needed my GPA fixed to get my scholarship. I figured if I used your login, no one would suspect me. Did I help you? Did I ever give you my credentials? No. Did you plant them in my files?" Jamal looked down. "Yeah. I copied them from your thumb drive when you left it plugged in during tutoring." Judge Harris leaned forward. "Mr. Preston, do you realize the severity of your actions?" He nodded, silent. Malik turned to face the judge. "Your Honor, I request that all charges against me be dropped immediately." "Granted," she said without hesitation. "And we will be referring Mr. Preston's conduct to the district attorney." Cheers erupted in the courtroom. Malik's mother cried openly. Malik remained still, as if trying to absorb the moment in silence. Outside the courthouse, the scene was chaos. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Malik said nothing until he reached the bottom of the steps. "I didn't win because I was smarter," he told the crowd. "I won because I knew the truth would speak for itself. You just have to be willing to stand in it, even when you're alone." The crowd applauded, but Malik was already looking past them. 2 months later, Malik stood on a different stage. ADX Youth Talk. He wore the same suit. Still pressed. Still simple. "I want to talk about what it means to be underestimated," he began. "To walk into a room where people expect you to fail not because of what you've done, but because of how you look." He paused. "In that courtroom, I wasn't just defending myself from a criminal charge. I was defending myself from a system that didn't think I belonged there in the first place. Not as an attorney, not as a thinker, not as a black boy with a sharp mind and a steady voice." The audience was silent, listening, moved. But here's the truth. We belong everywhere decisions are made. Not just in the courtroom but behind the bench. Not just in the school but on the school board. We are more than the narrative others write for us. His words would go viral. So would his story. Offers came from law schools, internship opportunities, TV interviews. But Malik stayed grounded. He volunteered at a youth legal clinic helping others understand their rights. He started a non-profit offering tech literacy programs to students of color. And every time he walked into a courtroom after that, no one ever asked him if he belonged. Because they already knew. If you were moved by Malik's story, share it. Talk about it. Let it remind you that truth doesn't need volume, it needs courage. Stand in it. Speak it. And never let anyone decide your future for you. Drop your comment in the comments section. For more stories on justice, survivor, strength and change, subscribe to Hope in Shadows. Thank you for watching.